The restaurant was loud with laughter and clinking plates, but at the small table near the window there was only silence. Officer Elena Ramirez sat straight in her dark navy uniform, her badge catching the warm glow of Christmas lights wrapped around the walls. Her eyes shimmered, not from the festive decorations, but from the weight of another day spent feeling invisible in a world built on sound. She was used to silence. She had lived in it her entire life. But that night, the silence felt heavier than ever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Grandma Dearie. Stories like this remind us that small acts can change everything. Elena had learned to read the world through movement, through expressions, through vibrations in the floor when someone walked too quickly behind her. Becoming a police officer hadn't been easy. Many had doubted her. Some had said a deaf woman could never survive in law enforcement. They questioned her safety, her judgment, her ability to communicate in emergencies. But Elena had trained harder than anyone else. She memorized procedures visually, mastered lip reading, and became fluent in sign language advocacy within her department. Over time, she earned respect, not because people pitied her, but because she refused to quit. Yet strength in uniform didn't always protect her heart. That evening she had just finished a long shift. It had been emotionally draining, a domestic dispute involving children. She couldn't hear the shouting, but she saw fear in small faces and rage in trembling hands. She carried those images with her long after the paperwork was filed. Instead of going home to her quiet apartment, she stopped at a small family restaurant decorated with green wreaths and red ribbons. She wanted to sit somewhere warm, somewhere bright, somewhere that felt alive. Families filled most of the tables. Couples leaned close in conversation. A father in the corner tried to keep his toddler from spilling juice. Elena watched them all carefully, absorbing the rhythm of their happiness through their gestures. She ordered her meal by pointing gently at the menu, offering a polite smile. The waitress nodded kindly, but her lips moved too quickly for Elena to catch every word. Across the room, a man stood near the counter, watching. He wasn't staring cruelly, just curiously. Perhaps he noticed how she didn't react when a plate crashed behind her. Perhaps he saw how she scanned lips carefully before responding. Elena was used to those looks too, the mixture of admiration and confusion. Her food arrived, steam rising into the soft glow of holiday lights. She folded her hands for a moment, grounding herself. Being alone didn't usually bother her. She valued independence, but holidays had a way of amplifying loneliness. She had once been engaged. He had loved her strength, he said. But over time, he grew tired of repeating himself, tired of facing a world that required patience. Eventually, he left quietly, as if silence itself had pushed him away. Elena picked up her fork. That was when she felt it, a small vibration against the table. Not loud, not dramatic, just the subtle shift of movement nearby. She looked up. Two little girls stood beside her table. They looked identical, with long brown hair and matching red bows clipped neatly above their ears. Their white sweaters made them glow against the warm background. They couldn't have been older than 6 or 7. Their eyes were wide, not with pity but with something else. Determination. Elena blinked, unsure what they wanted. Then in slow, careful movements, one of the girls raised her hands. "Can we join you?" The words weren't spoken, they were signed. Elena froze. For a second, the entire restaurant seemed to disappear. Her breath caught. She searched their faces to make sure she wasn't imagining it. The other twin repeated the signs gently, smiling as if to reassure her that this was intentional, not accidental. Elena's vision blurred with tears before she could stop them. She nodded quickly, emotion rushing through her like a wave breaking through years of quiet resilience. The girls climbed into the chairs across from her, their small hands resting on the table as if this was the most natural thing in the world. Their father approached, slightly nervous. His lips moved slowly, deliberately. He explained that their mother was deaf. The girls had grown up with sign language at home. They had noticed Elena sitting alone. They recognized the stillness in her, the familiar way she observed instead of reacted. They had asked if they could say hello. Elena signed back carefully, asking their names, Lily and Emma. The girls giggled silently, their shoulders shaking with excitement as they signed about school, about their dog, about how they were learning new signs every week to surprise their mom. They told Elena they thought her uniform was beautiful. They asked if being a police officer was scary. Elena signed that sometimes it was, but being brave didn't mean you weren't afraid. It meant you showed up anyway. Other diners began to notice. Conversations slowed. Some watched in quiet admiration as hands moved gracefully across the table in animated conversation. No one could hear the words, but everyone could see the joy. For the first time that evening, Elena didn't feel like the silent outsider in a noisy room. She felt understood. She shared pieces of her story in gentle signs, how she almost quit the academy when instructors underestimated her, how she learned to feel sirens through vibrations in the steering wheel, how she practiced reading lips in the mirror until her eyes hurt. The twins listened with awe as if she were a superhero. And in their eyes, maybe she was. Time slipped by unnoticed. Plates emptied. Laughter, silent but unmistakable, filled the space between them. When the girl's father finally signaled that it was time to leave, the twins hesitated. Lily reached into her small purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She placed it carefully in Elena's hand. It was a drawing. 3 figures stood side by side. 2 small girls holding hands with a police officer. Above them, in uneven letters, were the words, "You are not alone." Elena pressed the paper to her chest, her composure breaking completely now. Years of strength, years of fighting to belong, softened in that single moment of connection. Before walking away, Emma turned back and signed one last sentence. "Thank you for protecting people like our mom." Elena sat there long after they left, holding the drawing as if it were fragile glass. Around her, the restaurant noise continued, but she no longer felt separated from it. The silence inside her felt lighter, warmer. That night she didn't drive straight home.